In recent years, there has been a lot of exploration in terms of alternatives to just a normal government-funded public schooling. A big a big part of this push is people wanting to take their own children and give them their own education in the form of homeschooling. In modern days, especially in our Midwest area, homeschooling has blown up to incorporate a large amount of students who would otherwise be in public schools. But despite its massive growth, many people feel that homeschooling is just an inferior version of public schooling. They think that they don't have the education they need, they don't receive the proper social developments they need, and that it just sets them up for less in the future. But all three of these things are wrong. Modern homeschooling actually sets up students to be very successful, gives them a very a very good education, and also gives them social structure and opportunities that normal public schools would not be able to receive. The the first point many people make when trying to dismiss homeschooling is that people that homeschoolers don't receive the proper education, and thus are less educated than public schools. But this is, in actuality, is completely false. From a study from a study put on by three professors of psychology from Minnesota, they found that when ignoring any socioeconomic variables, or when all socioeconomic variables are equal between a public school student and a homeschool student, that that there was barely any difference. And on average, homeschoolers actually scored better on test scores like the SAT than public schools. But the people of the study dismissed this as homeschoolers being in a better socioeconomic situation. But overall, they found no difference between the two groups of students. Another big claim that people have is um, students, homeschool students, don't get to interact with people their own age. But so while normal public schools do interact with people their own age on a much higher scale, it doesn't mean that homeschoolers don't have that at all. Many homeschoolers have participate in school bands that they're allowed to join, or they have their own sports they have their own sports league, either through a homeschooling organization or through recreational leagues. And according to the according to was the national speech uh, the National Speech and Debate Association, many homeschoolers participate in this thing that most public schools haven't even heard of. Speech and debate is its own debate competition that is very popular around here, and I personally have had many cousins that have participated in it that have been homeschooled. And finally, many people say that homeschoolers aren't set up well for the future. But according to the Washington Post, that's not the case at all. The Washington Post had an article saying that many top schools, the top private school colleges in the nation, have actually gone out of their way to seek out homeschoolers for many reasons. One, for the fact that they have been shown to be more prepared for college. They had many of the self-discipline skills that a student would need for college that may not be as developed as if they went to a public school. and they have a sense of independency that is greater than their counterparts. So overall, homeschooling is while homeschooling does have its own issues, between while homeschooling does have its own issues, it should not be cast away and set aside as an inferior version of schooling. I personally have had many cousins who have been all homeschooled, grow up and become very successful. And that just goes to show that any student, if they put their mind to it, uh, can be set can set themselves up for a good future, especially if while in being homeschooled, they have the proper education, the proper social skills, and the proper setup that they need.